Welcome back to Clay and Buck. Our friend Ned Ryun joins us now. He is the founder and CEO of American Majority. Got a new book out today, I believe it comes out. American Leviathan, The Birth of the Administrative State and Progressive Authoritarianism. That sounds very, very interesting. Mr. Ned, good to have you back. How are you?
Great to be with you, Buck. Yeah, I gave up on the art of subtlety, just a sledgehammer. Let's call it out for what it is. When you have a unelected, unaccountable administrative state, you end up with authoritarians dictating to the American people. But no, the book really is about the rise of the progressive movement in this country, their attempts to destroy the moral and political authority of our Constitution, but even more so, Buck, to destroy the machinery of the Republic, leave that behind, and in its place, implement a vast and massive bureaucracy filled with unelected bureaucrats who they thought would do the governing of this country. And even more so, Buck, the only separation progressives believed in was separating out that administrative state from any political accountability. So the only real surprise I have right in this day and age in 2024 is that we didn't see this conflict coming to the surface sooner. But it took Donald J. Trump showing up in January of 2017 to D.C. and saying, I'm the duly elected president of the United States. I'm the one who decides. And the administrative state said, no, we don't think so. We think we're the ones that decide. And this competing governing philosophy between a Republican administrative state has burst into the open. If you want to know what this conflict between Donald Trump and D.C. is about, it's about who decides. And are we a republic or are we an administrative state?
Ned, one of the fascinating things as we get ready for the electoral results and actually see how people make their decisions going forward is the reshuffling that has occurred of respective supporters of Republicans, Democrats, and Independents during the Trump era. I don't know if you've seen this, but we were just talking about it. The Teamsters Union has not officially endorsed yet, but 60% of their members, according to their internal polling, are Trump supporters. How seismic of a shift is that over Kamala and over the Democrat Party, and what does it represent going forward in your mind?
Well, first of all, it's significant, Clay, in the Rust Belt, right? Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, the upper Rust Belt. I think that is a significant number that is problematic for Kamala Harris. Not a surprise, though. Donald Trump has made it very clear ever since he burst onto the scene almost a decade ago in national politics that he was a champion of the working class. So I'm not surprised that these Teamsters are saying by a significant margin, we support Trump over Kamala Harris. Yeah, but the other dynamic, Clay, that's becoming evident too, and I will take this trade any day, and I say this as someone who was a writer for George W. Bush, the Kennedy Democrats coming over to our side, and the Bush Republicans going over to Kamala's side. I think that's a pretty interesting dynamic and shift in American politics, but it does go to show you it's not really Republican versus Democrat anymore. It's not red versus blue. It literally comes down to freedom versus socialism, freedom versus are we going to be neocon, globalist warmongers, or are we actually going to prioritize the American people first and last in all things? So there's been some pretty interesting shifts in American politics ever since Donald Trump showed up on the scene.
Speaking to our friend Ned Ryun, his book, American Leviathan, comes out today. Get yourself a copy of it. Ned, you're a guy who knows campaigns and how they win and how they lose. How do you think the Trump campaign is doing right now in the swing states? What are you seeing, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between?
Can I just say something really quick, Buck, that I feel is very important? Yeah, sure. I don't want it to slip. And I say this as somebody who is hopelessly heterosexual. Bill Melugin has the finest hair on Fox News, hands down. And I feel like that needs to be addressed. We cannot let that slip. All right. But back to business.
By the way, Clay is now wondering, when you're coming back for another interview.
I agree with you on everything, just based on your having nailed that bit of analysis there. But yes, I want your electoral opinions even more now that you've acknowledged Bill Melugin's incredible hair and attractiveness.
Amazing hair. Back to business, though. This race we knew was going to come down to 7 states. And we know that I knew this back in January of 2023, told my donors, 7 key states, and poll numbers are very nice. I love a good poll number. It's going to come down to how big are your ballot universes, how big is the partisan registration gap one way or the other. So I'll share a couple examples. One in Arizona. Republicans, last I checked, now have a 75,000 ballot advantage over Democrats on the permanent absentee ballot list, and have increased their partisan registration advantage over Democrats to 260,000 more registered Republicans than Democrats in Arizona. Those are the numbers I care about in that key state. Look at Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, there are about 300,000 fewer absentee ballot requests for Democrats than there were in 2020. There are significantly more for Republicans. Oh, by the way, guys, Democrats have lost about 300,000 on their partisan registration advantage in that state, a state that I would remind you, Joe Biden only won by 80,000 votes. So I like where the numbers are at. What are we, 48 days out? But it's going to become a matter of political will and focus. Are you going to be able to chase in enough ballots to win? Are you going to be able to turn out your voters and get them to vote as early as possible to save the campaign and outside groups like myself money? And coming down the home stretch, are we going to be able to seal the deal? So I still think that it's in the balance, and it becomes a question of who has the fortitude and the desire to actually do what they're supposed to be doing coming down the home stretch.
Ned, you just hit on something that we talked about yesterday, the ballot differential for absentee ballots. Yep. Meaning that there are about, I think it's 275 or 280,000, rounding up to 300,000 fewer absentee ballot mail-in requests from Democrats than there were in 2020. What is the Democrat response for why that isn't a big deal? Do they have one? Because I haven't seen a counter narrative. To me, I like data, and that feels like an important data point.
It is significant. I have not seen any rebuttal to that. But I have been firmly of the opinion, Clay, that they will not be or unable to replicate what they did in 2020, right? Their mail, universal mail, all the things they did in 2020 on steroids, and we can talk at some other point about legal and illegal, they're not going to be able to replicate that ever again. And the difference that has happened between 2020 and 2024 is they cannot replicate that. They cannot facilitate that again. Republicans have gotten a lot smarter and understood we have to start doing what the Florida GOP has been doing for multiple election cycles, which is committed to an absentee ballot chase that's fully funded, growing that ballot universe among mid to low propensity voters. Guys, I would point out that if you can get a mid to low propensity voter to request a ballot, you can turn about 80% of them into voters, and then you chase them home. And people ask, what is a chase? Well, it's really a series of targeted harassments, right? Phone calls, door knocks, texts, digital reminder postcards to get the people to return their ballots or get out and vote early the minute early voting starts.
Ned Ryun, everybody, American Majority founder, and his book is American Leviathan, which is out today. So, Ned, it's sounding like we're in pretty good shape here. And, what do you think is going to be top of the agenda of a new Trump administration, assuming he has House and Senate control, because the Senate is also looking pretty good right now. I know some people are going to yell at me, stop getting ahead of yourself. Yeah, but we have to know what the vision is, right? Because Trump's got to come in and execute day one. It can't be, oh, wow, we won, and we have Senate and House control. So what do you think the agenda looks like? And I know you talk to Trump and people in his orbit, so you're not just guessing.
Can I just list a few of my things that I hope he does, Buck? I think that'd be a better way to frame it. Well, first of all, I do feel optimistic. We're in a great place. Again, we have not won, and I don't want anybody being overconfident in regards to Trump's race, to the Senate. The House is going to be a dogfight, and if there's a majority for Republicans, it will be a slim one. But let's say Donald Trump wins and gets reinaugurated to a second term. I think day one, he's already got a series of executive orders that are lined up that he plans to implement. I sincerely hope, and I think there are definitely executive orders that deal with dismantling the administrative state. And I say that, Buck, because I think a lot of the problems that we have experienced in D.C. on a whole host of fronts stem from the administrative state, which I would point out to people resides primarily in the Article 2 branch, the executive branch, of which the duly elected president is the head of that. So I think you're going to see a series of executive orders going after the administrative state, breaking it apart, overturning some of the things that have been wrong for so long. I think he's going to address immigration. I think that has obviously been a massive issue for us. I would argue they've been waging economic war on us with their massive illegal immigration. But I would hope that Republicans in the House and the Senate would, for self-preservation, understand that if we allow this mass illegal immigration to continue, they're just building out potential voters for the Democratic Party. We need to start deporting them back. And if they want to come in legally, there's a process for that. So, I think he's going to start re-implementing all those things that he started in his first term that the Biden administration has annihilated. 300 executive orders, by the way, Buck, in the first year, annihilating Trump's immigration reform. You're going to see a lot of that go back into place. And then a whole host of things on the economy and energy and trade that I think we're pretty familiar with, that I think will lead to economic prosperity and start to cut back on this massive inflation that we're facing.
Good stuff, as always. What would you tell everybody out there based on the data that you see? I just want to keep hammering this. I'm going to do it every day. Some of you are going to get tired of it. Why should people go out and vote early based on your job and what you try to do?
So let me be as concise as I can be, Clay. The economics of early voting. I've done this for a long time. I'm in my 14th year of doing American Majority Action, or C4. We know that if you will return your ballot or vote the very first day early voting starts, you'll probably cost us $10 to $12 per ballot. By that, I mean cost of a door knock, phone call, mail, text. If you wait a couple of weeks, it's probably going to cost me $20 and other groups $20 in total. If you wait until election day, by the time all those doors and phones and mail and digital, all that adds up, you might cost us $100. And when people say, I'm only going to vote on election day, Ned, my response back to them is, why do you hate me? Why do you hate Donald Trump? Why are you trying to soak us for cash? And I mean that. I mean, that's a bit sarcastic, but I mean it. If you really want to support Donald Trump and groups like me that are out there doing the hard work, get out there, vote early, get yourself off of that list. The harassments will stop, and we start to build on the AB and the EV vote. And the last point I'll make is this, Clay. I want us to have the narrative coming into election day that Donald Trump is either in the lead or very narrowly behind on the AB EV vote, because coming into election day, we have traditionally crushed the Democrats on election day. If he's anywhere close to the lead in these 7 key states, Donald Trump will win on November 5th.
This is also important. I want to hammer home. You talked about the difference between $10 and $100. When people vote early, you're able to put that money that otherwise you spend chasing them into people that are less likely to vote. So if you are a diehard Trump person and you are listening to us right now, the best thing you could do other than volunteer, donate money, and get other people to vote is vote yourself super early. I think that's so important. I'm doing it. Buck's doing it. We're encouraging all of you to do it.
Yeah, no, Clay, just early voting starts on Friday here in Virginia, where I'm at. I will be going there with my wife, my newly registered 18-year-old. We will be voting on the first day of early voting here in Virginia. It's a way for people to save money, and it's a way for us to then use those extra funds to target those ballots or votes that are much harder to get in, to try and get out as many ballots or as many votes as possible before November 5th. So please help us be good stewards of the money that's been given to us so we can maximize it for the maximal effect.
American Leviathan is the book. Ned Ryun, our friend, the author. Go get your copy. Ned, we'll talk to you soon. Hopefully we'll be able to celebrate a great election, but either way, we'll be talking to you soon.
I hope so. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Good to see you. There's no higher priority out there than protecting your family from harm. What security device do you have or carry at home? Now, I know a lot of you have firearms, but there are other tools that are also critical in certain situations to provide you the best possible security. So I want to tell you about Sabre, a family-owned business that makes best-in-class security products. Sabre is spelled S-A-B-R-E. Their website is sabreradio.com. They are the #1 made-in-the-USA pepper spray projectile maker, okay? Pepper spray projectiles are really good for defense of you and your family. It's less lethal, fast-loading, no-recoil solution that delivers powerful stopping power up to 175 feet. Accept no imitations. Sabre is the best. I talked to my law enforcement contacts about this. I'm familiar with all the competitors out there in the space, and Sabre is simply better made, better price, and what you need as less lethal protection in your home. Protect yourself and your family with Sabre's full range of defense sprays, home security tools, and exclusive launcher bundles. Visit sabreradio.com. Sabre Radio, S-A-B-R-E, sabreradio.com. Clay and I are doing a whole training next week on all the Sabre products because we have them here at home, but we want to be expert in the use of them and understand them backwards and forwards. We'll tell you all about that saber training after we do it, because these are the best you're going to find anywhere. SaberRadio.com, or you can call this number, 844-824-SAFE. That's 844-824-SAFE.